Dina Smirnova is a facilitator of personal transformation, specializing in movement, breath, and meditative practices with over 20 years of international experience. She is the creator of the Smirnova Experience, a unique methodology utilizing movement, sound, and subtle body practices to inspire self-empowerment. Her mission is that each being is liberated from suffering and empowered to choose love over fear.
Welcome to the Conscious Creator Series, brought to you by New Earth Arising. I'm Katimoni.
And I'm Exodus.
And our mission is to uplift and empower you to liberate your creative potential.
Master your mindset, raise your vibration, and bring your visions to life.
This is for the visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and the soul elevators, artists of life, yeah, movers and shakers, heart-centered, change makers, visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and the soul elevators, artists of life, yeah, movers and shakers, heart-centered, change makers.
So welcome, Dina. Welcome to the Conscious Creator Series.
Welcome,
it's so
Dina.
great to have you.
So great to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Our pleasure.
So who is Dina? Tell me a little bit about yourself. Who is Dina?
Who is Dina? Well, Dina is a lot of things, and I don't think I can just pin it down to one thing. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself.
Right.
I am an artist. I'm also a conscious creator. I love that term, and I really identify with that.
Nice.
I'm a mover. I love using my voice, and I really love facilitating spaces of transformation for people. That's something that I'm really, really passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Empowering work and important work in this time that we're living in. So what does it mean to you to be a conscious creator? What does that term mean, to really embody that and to live like from that?
Well, I think that term actually refers to anyone who really takes full responsibility for their own experience, in saying that, okay, this is my reality and I get to say how my reality goes. So it's really anyone, I feel, who creates their life with full intention and full empowerment.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love the word responsibility, right? Like that ability to respond and that power that we have to make choices and decisions and to shape ourselves really intentionally. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really love actually like your title of your collective of work, New Earth Arising. That's actually a term I use in my work as well, particularly in some of my other projects. Like New Earth is so pertinent right now, I think more than ever. I think maybe a couple of years ago, I kind of heard that term being thrown around, and I think a lot of people didn't really know what it was, but now it's so obvious in these times, like we are actually inside of a new earth. So when I realized that synchronicity of just even the language that you guys are using and that I've also been using for some time, I just was like, wow, this is actually real. This is super cool. And It is important work. It's really important work. And it's important that we're not doing it alone. And we're worldwide offering this space of healing and potential for really all of humanity.
Absolutely. I'm feeling chills when you're talking, just like that resonance of truth in it, because it is like a real global movement that, you know, has been growing and like evolving for years, but it feels like it's really gained a lot of momentum just recently, particularly with like the massive shifts that have been happening on the planet and so many people just waking up. And I guess that's also, you know, really the intention behind our movement with New Earth Arising, is just bringing together that collective of leaders and creators and artists and facilitators and people who are all on that path and sharing that vision and doing that work and being like, all right, we are the conscious creators. We are responsible for, you know, how we shape ourselves and humanity moving forward. And I think this last, year or so has really woken people up to that concept of like, we're all in this together. Like we really are. And that illusion of separation has just been dissolving more and more. So I love that. Yeah, you feel that resonance and you feel that alignment in our missions. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So I understand that you said you're a mover, you're a singer, you're a dancer. I don't know if you could, go into this a little more for us. Out of the three, what would you say is your first love? And why are you a singer? Why are you a dancer?
I don't know if I'd call myself a singer as much as I actually feel what my love is underneath all of those things is the connection to breath and aliveness. Okay. And I feel like through using my voice and through using movement, whether that's dance or whether that's yoga or even Pilates or just free movement or free sounding, it's really all about connecting deeper to the self and to the breath through those different modalities. So I do feel like, if in a more linear way, I guess my first love really was dance as a young child. I was enamored by dance whenever I'd see different like music videos on MTV when they were still playing them. Like I was just dancing and creating all of the time. And eventually that love for dance allowed me to go into it a little bit deeper. I studied it formally in university. And I think I found probably around age 20, I still loved to dance, but I was also very, very burnt out by it. And at that time in my life, I had just discovered yoga and meditation. And it gave me basically like another portal to go into of actually relearning to love my body again and relearning to just love moving again without having to try to reach some ideal of perfection, like my body has to be something or it has to look this way. And I think after a while, that also led me eventually to discover my voice, because it was something that I knew was there and I knew that I loved to use it. But I think because I identified with being a dancer all of my life, I kind of pigeonholed myself into this little box of, well, I'm a dancer and I don't really sing. I don't really do that. And actually I found, just through my own personal development, my own journey and working with different teachers and facilitators that I love singing and I love using my voice. I just love singing around the house even, but really also I think it's something that I want to encourage others to do more and more as well, because one of my teachers says this so well. He says, in the Kabbalah, they say the highest forms of spirituality are actually singing and dancing. And when he said that, I was like, of course it is, because we all have a body and we all have the ability to make sound. So of course, that's naturally going to be something that we can draw upon and we can use as a way to transform energy. Yeah.
Powerful. I actually read in your bio that you mentioned that dance was a real form of therapy for you as a youth and an outlet for you as a young person. And so I'm curious to just explore with you, how can movement and breath and sound be used as a therapeutic practice or a transformational practice?
How can it be used that way? Well, I'll tell you how I use it. And of course, how I use it, it might not work for everybody, but this is just what I found to be most powerful is, I think the spaces that I found most powerful, most therapeutic is when there's a little bit more freedom to actually explore. So rather than, like, say, going to a dance class where it's choreographed, where it can still be fun, I really actually just love exploring movement on its own, where perhaps I'm guided with an anchor point like the breath or through sound or through music, but really it's more about actually allowing myself and my body to express itself in the way that it needs to express itself. And so if I'm facilitating a class, like I'll often offer these little spaces for people where they can actually start to go a little bit deeper into that space of just allowing their body to move in the way that it needs to. I don't know if that resonates or if that makes sense, but I guess it just comes back to that idea that our body actually holds all of the wisdom that we need in each and every moment. And it's a matter of us actually just allowing ourselves the space to tap into that wisdom. So what better way to tap into that than just allowing ourselves to move and just to be curious about what's going to arise from there. So that's kind of how I look at it. I don't know if that's like a clear response, but that's what I've found to be quite powerful. And I think the second part to that is also doing that practice in a group setting. So I think it's beautiful to practice movement and sound alone and work with the voice alone, but there's something really, really powerful, kind of like, I look at the image, or I see the image of us sitting around a campfire, or our ancestors sitting around like back in the day, where it's like, how do we celebrate and how do we grieve? Right? How do we, how do we connect with each other? It's through that singing and that dancing all together. So there's just something really special that I almost find myself being very challenged actually trying to articulate what that is, but it's really, I think, the group energy that holds that therapeutic potential for healing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, what I hear from you is about just creating those full permission spaces for, first of all, for people to just express and to be free and to allow, the energy to move through them, and that the way in which that expression unifies us, as a community or as a collective. And it's really important. I mean, we hold energy and emotions in our body, right? Like the electromagnetic charge from emotions in our body. And so that's one of the things that we take people through in our creator mentorship as well, is like learning how to discharge that emotional blockages or things, memories or traumas or things that are held on a really deep cellular level, so that we can transmute them. So I really feel you on that. And I know that you are the creatress. You are the creatress of the Smirnova Experience.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the Smirnova Experience. Like what inspiration led you to developing this, and what are some of the foundations behind that practice?
Sure. So I would say the Smirnova Experience is probably the latest iteration of my work, because people will work with me, either they'll come to a class or they'll work one-on-one with me, and they'll ask me afterwards, what was that? What do you do? And it's that question that I actually, to be truthful, like I struggle with, because I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I take everything that I've learned and I offer it all together to the person that's in the room, really. So what I mean by that is, like, it's kind of like different sets of tools that we pull from. So I don't know, maybe you know a little bit about this. When you facilitate a group of people, you really have to be able to teach to who's in the space. And so I found that if I was just teaching yoga, for example, or just teaching dance, or just teaching meditation, it was often limiting just to stay with that one modality. So I decided to create the Smirnova Experience, or to name it that, because I realized actually what I'm offering people is an experience that's so much beyond just this one thing. And that also comes from the realization that, there are 1,000 ways to enlightenment. There's 1,000 ways to get there. So who's to say that this is the approach that you have to use? So what I hope to do is to perhaps offer people, from what I've learned in my toolkit, ways to find that for themselves. Yeah, so right now, the Smirnova Experience, I would say it's more of what I call my method, but I think now that things in Australia have opened up a little bit, I actually see it being a live event as well. And that's something that I'm still currently in the process of creating. It's still a little bit of a seed. It's not quite sprouted yet, but I hope to be able to offer it within the next year.
Okay.
Awesome. That sounds great. And I think I really resonate with what you're saying around pulling influences and inspiration from all different modalities, and how it's almost like we're creating our own signature methodology within that, you know. And it's I think it's really effective as a facilitator to have all these different tools in your toolkit, and to be able to use them in a way that's person-centered, you know, that it's like, how can I get the maximum transformation out of this space or this group or with this person? Like, what do they need, and how can I be of service in the best possible way, rather than sticking to those rigid frameworks that we may have in the past.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I do think there is also something to be said about being disciplined and sticking with a particular discipline, but I've also found, maybe just where I'm at as a facilitator and in my journey as a teacher, providing these spaces for others, that's kind of what feels most authentic for me right now, to be able to come out right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about your personal creation process. Would you have any rituals, certain things that you would do to prepare yourself to maybe get in the zone, you know?
I love this question. I love rituals. I feel like my whole life is actually a ritual, to be really honest with you. I think at the most basic level, I feel the most important rituals actually that I do are daily self-practice and the ritual of eating. Like I try my best really to eat very mindfully and not do anything else at all, and really focus all of my attention and energy on my food, because that's my fuel. And no, I'm not. I used to be, but no, not anymore. That's another topic, but like that's been a journey in itself, to actually be able to listen to my body, to really hear what it is that it actually wants. And yeah, like just things like sleeping at the like same exact times, like a ritual before going to bed and waking up, just being really mindful of my thoughts and setting my intention as I wake up, and then going to sleep and thinking about the things that I'm grateful for. Even though they sound like really simple things, these are actually some of the most transformative things that I do for myself. But aside from that, I would say some more special rituals that I do are, one of them is actually like through the practice of my voice. I've done quite a bit of chanting, so I love to chant to the goddesses. And that's just super, I don't know, it's super potent, and it's really changed not only my voice, but also how I connect to sound and how I connect to the divine, really. I also do monthly rituals as a facilitator, but also as a participant with my project, The Sacred Exchange. Every single month we have a new moon ritual, and we basically we honor different goddesses in the different pantheons. So we don't just focus on Hindu goddesses or Greek goddesses. We really try to go throughout all of the goddesses, and we work with that particular energy that is that is really pertinent at that time. So even this week we worked with the Hebrew goddess Lilith, and it was all about uncovering your shadows. So of course, as I was preparing for that ritual, I started that process like 2 weeks ago, and I started feeling all of my shadows and all of these like emotions and things coming through me. And it's really powerful when you actually set that kind of intention in a ritual, because it really drives the experience of the ritual itself and also what you receive out of it. It's really, really powerful. And I think one more ritual that I have to share is I'm constantly clearing my space. And I really look at that as a ritual from of course, things like clearing my space with smudging and whatnot, but also to like organizing and throwing things out, and actually like having a space around me that's beautiful, that's actually really conducive to providing me with like the container I need to be able to create everything in my life.
Yeah, that's incredible. And just while you were talking, then I was really reflecting on how, as facilitators, we often live the work that we are sharing, you know. And so I'm curious to explore with you, like, how important is it for you to really embody the work that you're doing, in terms of, like, you know, when you're holding space for so many other people, to be able to hold that same space for yourself, and to really honor your own self-care and your own well-being, in order to really, like, maximize, you know, your potential to support others. How important is that for you?
It's the most important thing. And you know what, I've had moments in my life where, like, I've been teaching for quite a while, and I've had moments, of course, where maybe I feel like my own integrity is out in that way, where I'm not taking as good of self-care, I'm not resting as much as I need to, or I'm not eating the foods that I know I need to eat to give me sustenance. And I actually feel that it affects my teaching, because I know that I'm actually in those moments not like walking the walk. So, and of course, like, I'm still a human being. We're all still in a human body. So I also have to give myself a little leeway sometimes, and understand that it's okay that I'm not perfect all the time, 100%. But I really do, I do take my work and my facilitation quite seriously, in that sense that to provide a space, really like a truly safe space for others, you have to be quite centered and integrated in yourself. So if there is something that's like I'm distracted by, or something that's kind of pulling me off balance, I know that that's going to affect my students and who I'm teaching in that moment. So I know that actually when I take care of myself, it's not just for me, it's for not only my students, but for every single relationship that I have in my life.
Yeah, because there's a whole connection, you know, there's a whole connection with everything. So what would you say are some of the major challenges and obstacles that you face on your journey as a facilitator?
I feel like I have to talk a little bit about my life here. So I might go into it a little bit, and you can edit this if you'd like, but you know, my facilitation is really an extension of me. Like, of course, I'm referencing material that I've learned, but also a big part of what I facilitate is coming from a space of life experience. So I would say something that has actually influenced me, that's been challenging, it really starts from when I was born. So I was born in Azerbaijan, which is a country north of Iran that used to be part of the Soviet Union. And when I was about 1 year old, the Soviet Union broke apart, and my family had to flee because my mother is Armenian, and in recent modern times, Armenia and Azerbaijan, they don't really get along. So it wasn't safe for us to stay. So we actually immigrated as refugees to the United States. And although I know my body remembers that experience, but my mind doesn't. But I can tell you that it's influenced my whole journey. I've really had to do a lot of work to understand what home is and what it means to be at home in myself. I've had to do a lot of work really on an ancestral level as well, because this story of having to flee due to persecution is on both my maternal side and my paternal side. And it's an intergenerational story that, they basically had to hide, and they couldn't share their stories. They couldn't speak speak their truth or be their truth. And I think that's a lot of where my voice work has come from and stemmed from, and the drive to actually use my voice. Like, I've had it for so long, and I didn't really start exploring it truthfully till I was about 25 or 26 years old, maybe even a little bit older. And I actually started to understand that all of this personal development that I'm doing is really, it's actually on an ancestral level. So that was an extremely powerful realization, to actually realize, like, yes, my story is unique, but it's not so unique, because every single person has their own story and their own ancestry and their own history and their own things to uncover about themselves that, you know, they might still be holding on to, that they might not even realize is actually something that they inherited. So yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest one. And the second one is probably the death of my father about 8 years ago. He was diagnosed with lung cancer, and at the time I was in my early 20s, and I hadn't really done any like personal development. I've never went to therapy at that point. This was in some ways like a very big shock, and it really opened the door for me to actually a whole new world of truly a spiritual awakening. And I think you could call it like a dark night of the soul that I experienced, where I experienced pretty much like every single suppressed negative emotion that I ever had up until that point. And it was all in the period of like a couple of years after his death. And so I don't know if you've had these experiences similarly in your life, but I think when you go to the bottom of those like spaces where it's a very deep space of grief or a deep space of sadness, when you actually are able to come out on the other side, there's actually so much wisdom and transformation in that. And I think that's actually also driven a large part of what I share in the world, is that, you know, it's possible to go beyond your trauma, and it's possible to go beyond the past. And it is possible to actually have an alternative reality than one of being disempowered or being really held down by things that maybe you inherited or that you learned. Those are probably the biggest two, I would say. And I think maybe I mentioned to you both, I've recently been studying to become a death doula, so someone who supports people as they're dying. And this is like a little bit of a scary place for me because, you know, it's not an easy thing to do, but it's something that I really, really feel called to offer, probably in the next couple of years, to step into that space a little bit more.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dina. It's so yeah, it's so powerful, and it's incredible how sometimes these traumatic experiences, or, you know, these big turning points in life, grief or a death, or, you know, even just, you know, any kind of transition in life can really be the catalyst for like a huge period of growth and deep change for us, can't it? And I'm here, like what I'm hearing in your story here is that coming back to what we were saying, in the way that, you know, these memories or these different traumas or the ancestral patterns are held in our body and held in, you know, in our cellular memory like that. And I wanted to talk to you about energetic alignment, because I know this is something you offer, energetic alignment sessions. And for people who might not be familiar with these kind of terms, what is energetic alignment, and why is that important for people?
Yeah, that's a good question. Energetic alignment, as I define it anyways, is when you're so aligned internally that your outer experience reflects the alignment that you have within. So that alignment takes place on the subtle energetic body, but it also takes place mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And so that's, I suppose, how I look at energetic alignment, is that ability to actually go beyond all of the, you know, kind of all of the shit that gets in the way of life and gets in the way of us actually connecting to our true essence, actually identifying what that is and being able to integrate that in a way where we're actually empowered about who we are, and to live from that place and to act from that space. So really it comes back to like remembering that we are love, and we actually have another option than just to identify with the fear that might be there.
I love that. We are love.
Yeah.
We are love.
Nice.
So if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, or to even, any other emerging creators out there who are just kind of starting out on their journey, what would that be?
Oh man, it's hard to pick one. I might pick two.
Yeah, there's no limit. We're in abundance here. You take as many as you
one I would say is like, it's okay to mess up, and it's okay to not take things so seriously sometimes. Like, it's okay to laugh about all the things and all the weirdness and craziness that life is. But the other one I would say is, really it's so important to practice every single day, whatever it is that you're doing or whatever it is that you're creating, so that if you are creating something, it's coming from, like we spoke about, it's coming from that authentic place of lived experience. And I think like a little tangent of that advice is also to seek out facilitators or teachers who really inspire you to come back to yourself. Because I think there's a lot, I know this happens in the yoga world a lot, where it's like, a little bit of that guru culture of people get enamored with the teacher, enamored with the guru. But really, I think it's most powerful and most supportive in any emerging creator's journey to actually seek out those individuals that are actually going to empower you rather than empower themselves.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. What would you say are your 3 highest values, and how do they inform your work?
My number one value is integrity. So I think without integrity, nothing else works. And if I touched upon this earlier in our conversation, but if my integrity is kind of lacking or out in one area of my life, I know that it's going to affect every single other area. So, it really comes back to this idea that when I have integrity, then that actually makes the words I speak that much more powerful and potent. And that is actually what allows me to create in the way that I do, because I know the words I speak are that deeply connected to me that what I say is actually going to happen. And that is actually my experience of life, more so than ever right now. It's actually a little scary sometimes, because it's like I actually say some things and then it's like, boom, right there.
Speak it into being.
It's so cool. So that's definitely number one. My second highest value is, I don't know if I can find the exact words for it, but it would be something along the lines of full self-expression. So being able to authentically, vulnerably, truthfully and honestly express myself in any situation, regardless of where I'm at any moment. I don't know, like, do you ever hear people, they say like, oh, I don't know, I can't say that because I'm at work, or I can't say that because I'm I'm here. And it's like, actually, I find that so confining. And I think part of my journey I uncovered spaces where, oh, I'm actually not being authentic because I'm not expressing certain things. And I can tell you there's nothing more liberating, and I'm sure you know this because you use your voice, there's nothing more liberating than actually to just be able to speak your truth and be your truth, regardless of who or what is around you. So empowering. So I would say that that's my second one. And my third one is probably transformation, because I think my drive in life is to learn and to grow and to transform. And it really is like so elemental to who I am. It's so much a part of me. And I feel like that's reflected in my work, because that actually is what I'm offering to people, is the realization that they have that power within themselves to shift and to grow and to learn. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dina. I really,
you're welcome.
I'm super grateful for the authenticity and the realness and the depth and the inspiration that you've brought into this connection today. So thank you so much for joining us. And where can people find out about you? Where can people contact you and follow you? Where can they find out about your work?
First of all, thank you so much, because you both are so amazing. And I'm saying that right back at you. Like, it's been such a wonderful conversation. I don't think I could have expressed myself so openly and so deeply if I didn't feel that coming from both of you. So I appreciate that from you, and thank you for this beautiful opportunity. And how people can find me, probably the easiest way is on my Instagram or on my website. So my Instagram handle is Dina_Smirnova. And then my website is www.dinasmirnova.com. And that links to all of my other projects and my other offerings.
Beautiful. We'll put them up for everybody below. So yeah, thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Blessings and love.
Thanks, Dina. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into another episode of Conscious Creatives.
Yeah, you can follow New Earth Arising on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And check out our website, neweartharising.com, to learn more about our coaching programs and our merchandise.
Yeah, it's your boy Exodus.
And your girl Katimoni.
Keep rising, keep shining. Yo, peace.
This is for the visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and